control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How you guys doing? I see that there's a few of you in here. I guess more are coming as we roll, but off to a little bit of a slow start tonight. Hope you guys are doing great, though. Hey, E. Spears, how you doing? Great to see you. And hello to everybody else out there. Great to see you guys as well. Hope you guys had a good day. It's Thursday, which means tomorrow's Friday. You've made it, almost. All that's left to do is the sleeping, and then you got Friday. So thank you guys for spending your Thursday night right here with me here on the Night Terrors, Paranormal Portal Night Terrors episodes. I'm thinking a lot about this, and I got to tell you, it remains one of the highlights of every day coming in here and doing these shows. And I mean that sincerely. It's just such a big part of my life now, and you guys are a big part of my life as well. So thank you for all of you who come in and participate and take part in the shows. Thank you to all of you who sit back quietly and watch them, and thank you to all of you who watch them when you can on the video on demand on YouTube, because, it all matters. I love it, of course, when you guys are able to show up for the live shows, but I get a lot of apologies from people like, oh, sorry, I couldn't make it. And it's like, don't apologize. I'm just thrilled you guys watch it when you can. Of course, I'd love to see you guys here for the live shows. Of course, I would love to, say hello and to talk with you guys. But, life happens, and I completely understand that. And there's no disappointment to me that, oh, man, why isn't that person here? They must not care, because I know you guys do. So thank you so much for that. But as always during the shows, the phone lines will be open if you want to call in and share something of your very own paranormal related that's happened to you. Please feel free to call in 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500 is the number to call in, and I'd love to hear from you if you want to talk to me. I know some of you guys are nervous about that, but it's just me. I'm just me. So don't be intimidated by that at all. I just love the opportunity to hear your accounts and stories firsthand. But if you don't want to call in, but you still want to share your story or like to have me share it with our listeners, please feel free to email your stories to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I will share your stories on the YouTube. It'll probably be a Friday or Saturday night, because that's when we're connected to the TFRlive.com, which is connected to iHeart and TalkStream Live, and let's see, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. TuneIn was the one I was missing. So with all of those networks combined, that's when I like to share your guys' stories, because I think that's just as wonderful. So anyway, I guess without further ado, I hope you guys are ready, because it's time for bed. And thank you too, Christina. I love you too. Thank you for being here and being a part of the shows. I just enjoy hearing from all of you guys. So whether it's through email or comments on the videos themselves, or whenever on our Facebook, I like to catch up with you guys. So say hello. It's always really cool to see who's out there listening. Woo, I wouldn't complain. Hedy Lamar wouldn't complain. So I'm not sure what about, but that's what I get for just peeking at the chat. Hello, Linda. How you doing? Good to see you, and hello to everyone else that's coming in, or to those of you that are sitting back quietly just listening. I'm just thrilled you're here. Please make sure when you get a chance, if you don't mind, spread the word about the Paranormal Portal to anybody you know that is into the paranormal. We're certainly growing much more rapidly all the time, but it's great to see the numbers go up because more people are taking an interest in what we're doing. So if you don't mind, share the word, and we'll see if we can make this grow even quicker. But anyway, I got a bunch of stories lined up for you guys. It is our shorter format shows. The Night Terrors are a shorter format, so they're right around an hour, right in that ballpark. So I've got a bunch of stories pulled up to share with you, and hopefully if I do it well, you'll be thoroughly entertained. If I do it okay, you'll be mildly entertained. And if I do it poorly, you might be entertained for a whole lot of other reasons. I don't know. But anyway, I had a lot of fun last night with Don on the show, and lots of great call-ins, and thank you to everybody that participated on last night's show. That was a lot of fun. And if you hadn't seen that episode, please check it out in the YouTube archives. And that was from our 2-hour show on Wednesday nights. Those are always a lot of fun and great participation. So, Brent, look up Norduke in Georgia. Okay. At some point I will. What's Norduke in Georgia? You could help me by paraphrasing that just so I know what I'm looking for. Unless the name Norduke is that famous. I don't know. I've not heard of it. So, just looking at the chats here. Am I missing anything, or are you guys all ready? Oh, hey, Bomber. Good to see you. I see hi Brents every once in a while, so I try to acknowledge those. Hi, Brent from Linda. Yep, I saw that one. So, hey, I'm Kat. Good to see you, brother. I think we're all up to date on the hellos. But no, Norderrock. Norderrock. Okay. Yeah, leave me, if you could send me a link, Hedy, I'd appreciate that. Just send it to me at, because I'll probably forget is the problem. I mean, I always have great intentions of checking out every suggestion that I get, but it sure helps if you can email those, any pertinent links to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Make sure you get the radio in there, because I don't get emails from paranormalportal.com or paranormalportal@gmail.com. I don't own that address, so you got to make sure it's paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. So send it over there, and I'll be sure to check them out when I get an opportunity. I'm working on several side projects as well as the normal shows and payload, so my time is kind of getting to be a premium as of late, but I will do my best to check it out. It's Indian Sacrificial Volcano. I'll try not tech savvy. Okay. Well, I understand. If you're not tech savvy, just give me okay. Well, I guess, geez, I don't know. Maybe somebody else can email it for you. I don't know. I'm sorry, Hedy. I'm not laughing at you, of course. I know that it's kind of frustrating when you don't know your way around a computer very well to do those kind of things. But just if you have an email client, just type in to and then paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. You can do a subject, check it out, and then just give me that name, Norderbrock or whatever that was, Georgia, and then I can research it from there. If you don't have time to get a link, or you don't know how to copy a link over, just give me that subject so I don't forget it. So, all right, guys, let's get underway here. I got some stories ready for you. So, first off, we're going to go to Illinois tonight. So, or is it Illinois? What's up with all the silent letters? Why even bother? Should have ended that with Illinois. Done. If you're not going to say the S anyway, get it out of there. It's not paying the rent. I don't know. Just idiosyncrasies that kind of humor me. But anyway, here we go. Illinois. What's going on in Illinois? It says, my family and I live in an apartment, but every family has their own front and back doors. And everyone pretty much stays to themselves. Sounds lovely. Everyone has 2 floors. And we've lived in this neighborhood since 1999, but only 3 years in this particular apartment. The other apartment we lived in is right across the yard from the one that we're in, and it was just as bad as this one, but not as dangerous. When living in the apartment before this one, I remember a man dying in his apartment almost a year before we moved into it. Since I was expecting another baby, we were already had a couple of kids. We needed more space, and since we had little money, this really was the only option to move into this apartment. I had some reservations about moving here, but what to do? I had to move. So here we are. Almost immediately, the problems began. My health has started to deteriorate since we moved in here, and I was not sick before. And believe me, I've been sick for 3 whole years, in and out of emergency rooms, only to be told that there's nothing they can find, but yet I'm still sick. I have all sorts of tests and nothing but minor things revealed. I miscarried last year, and I strongly believe these things killed my unborn child. They do not want us here. They do not want anyone here. Some of the spirits I have seen have all been Native American in nature, and there's a little boy who looks to be about 8 or 9 years old. He's mostly benign and just watches us. Then there's a very bad woman with long black hair and ghostly white face in the downstairs half bathroom, and she usually appears in the mirror right behind you. And then there's some sort of spirit of unknown gender upstairs, but it's very, very evil thing. It harasses me in the bathroom and upstairs hallway and has been known to come into my bedroom and walk around by the wall across the room. There is some ghost which crosses the hall and goes directly into the bathroom, but never comes out. And what I sense about them is that they feel that we're trespassing on their property, or maybe they can't rest. My husband, who happens to be from India, slept in a separate room one night because he snores, and woke up the next morning and told me that he had a very real dream about finding himself surrounded by Native American Indians, and they felt some sort of kinship towards him. And they were basically discussing their feelings with him in the dream, talking about how this land belongs to them and that they don't want anyone living on it. And in the dream, they were taking him back around the neighborhood and showing him the land and telling him it belongs to them and that they want it back. In 2006, probably in October or November, I thought I was cracking up. I was in the bathroom upstairs and saw a spirit form in my older daughter's room across the hall, and it saw me looking at it, but I tried to ignore it. And then, when I went back into my own room and started to read a book, that same spirit came and attacked me. It's like it jumped into my head and went down to my stomach. I started having the worst abdominal pains in all of my life. And I've had a lot of kids, and this was the worst. At the same time, I felt dizzy, like something was trying to take over my mind. I had to fight all night not to be overtaken by this thing. How did I fight back? I prayed. And prayed like I've never prayed before, and it was literally fighting for my life and for my sanity, and I instantly became a recluse, hardly ever going out. It's like I wasn't allowed to do anything anymore. And I became severely depressed when the doctors prescribed medicines to help me, and they would make me violently ill. But how to explain all these things to a doctor? You generally don't, yeah. There is also the little matter of poisonous spiders somehow showing up in our bedrooms, and the weird sickness which we're experiencing, but no doctor can diagnose. And when you're at the top of the stairs, it's like you can literally see yourself falling down the stairs and laying dead at the bottom. And there are ghostly voices too, but they don't talk to you. You hear them talking amongst themselves. At night, they all congregate in the living room downstairs, where it's dark, and if you come downstairs at that time, something tries to scare you and hurry you along. Well, I dread coming down at night, and the daytime is tolerable, though, down here. When you are in the kitchen at night, something watches you. One night a few weeks ago, I was downstairs cooking. I saw a small boy run past me from the living room and disappear by the back door, and I thought it was my son. But he had not been in the kitchen, and we used to hear a sound like bedroom slippers shifting across the kitchen floor. Sometimes I've smelled smoke, and neither of my neighbors smoke. It's like pipe or cigarette smoke. Sometimes there are pleasant scents as well, but not very often. Presently, I'm wishing to move out, but we have no money to move, so what to do? Also, I'm still currently having ill health and still running back and forth to doctors, all to no avail. And I've thought to have this area investigated, but I don't know the stories of my neighbors as to whether they have any troubles or not. I'd really like to find out. Huh. That's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, I suppose it could just be that simple, that they're just these disgruntled spirits that have a claim to the land. Perhaps it was very sacred land at one time, and that was a strong attachment. But it could be something else. So it could just be a lot of misunderstandings too. I think that generally speaking, most spirits are just not negative, although their attempts to communicate with us can seem negative because they scare us. I mean, it's freaky when things move when they shouldn't move. It's freaky when you look up in a mirror and see somebody standing behind you that shouldn't be there. But I don't know that in most cases they really mean to freak people out. They're just trying in different ways to make their presences known, or to share some piece of information that's important for them to find that closure or that finality of their journey so they can go home. I don't know. I just don't buy that there's so many negative, evil spirits. I know there's plenty, don't get me wrong, but I think in most cases, most of these spirits that are earthbound they were people too, and for the most part, they don't want to be bothered. And for the most part, they don't want you to bother them. They're just in their own funk or their own place, and they just have to work through something, or for whatever reason, they stick around. Sometimes they are not done yet for whatever they're doing in this life, or were doing in this life. Perhaps they feel they didn't finish it, or they have more to do before they transition, or many times I've said on the show, perhaps they're avoiding a judgment. Because there's many religious systems that they excel at the fear. They excel at if you don't lead a pious life, you're going to burn in hell. Well, it's easier to sit in a closet for eternity than it is to baste in a fire. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of different dynamics at work in a lot of these hauntings, and it can be kind of freaky. But I think many times it's just misunderstanding. But perhaps in this case, that was really some very jaded First Nation spirits. It's very possible. So we'll continue on our journey into Pennsylvania. And this is a short one. It says, "This happened to me right now." But this story is from 2008, so it's not really right now. Just for the record. It says, "I was answering someone's story about Satan, and she should accept God into her heart, and I'm on a laptop. And right when I published the answer, the top part moved rapidly, but only once. Could Satan have seen it and gotten angry? I'm a Christian. Here's my story. My aunt had just died June of last year. It was after the funeral. I was watching TV, and around the 11 or 12, I fell asleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night to hear a soft, eerie music. My heart was thumping really loudly, and I saw my sister and brothers asleep, and they were in the den sleeping, and I was in the den, and my parents were upstairs with my grandparents. My grandparents live in Virginia, where my aunt used to live. I looked at the doorway that separated the den and the kitchen and dining room and saw a black figure, and I think it was black because of the dark. Aunt Betty, I said in my head. I blinked and it was gone. I looked out the window and saw it again. I blinked and it was gone, and the music stopped. I decided to stay up for the rest of the night watching TV. That was pretty disjointed, all of that. I don't think Satan's probably paying too much attention to your posts on a website. I don't think there's an omniscient evil presence. Is there evil? Sure, there's lots of evil, but I don't buy this whole omniscience of evil. Yeah, I don't know what that second part had to do with it, though. That's creepy. Saw a shadow person, very creepy. But anyway, moving along. Let's go to Tennessee. Just checking the chat out. Good to see you guys. More coming in. Good to see y'all. Let's go to Tennessee. And this says, I'm a 43-year-old man. I've lived here in Tennessee almost 4 years since I moved here from California. I'm single and I live alone. At first, I was staying with some friends, Pulaski. I think it's Pulaski, Tennessee, in Pulaski. I think that's the name of a town. It says I'm staying with some friends, Pulaski. Not in Pulaski, but Pulaski. And I rented a house in Lewisburg, and the first night I stayed in the house, I kept hearing footsteps and other noises. One night when I was about to fall asleep, I heard a really loud snapping noise right at my ear. Another night, I was awakened by an electrifying fluttering sensation in my head. I couldn't move. I was stuck there. And it scared me really bad. Well, that happened twice, and at that point, I decided to move. I moved to a house a few blocks away, and the first night was really no problem. The second night, it kind of started harassing me again, and a few nights later, I started praying. I got on my hands and knees and started praying really hard. After about 20 or 30 minutes of real hard praying, with my eyes closed real tight, that is, when it showed itself to me. It was a man with blonde shoulder-length hair. He didn't say anything to me, but he had this real evil smile on his face. I moved back to Pulaski with my friends, and it was still bothering me even after I moved back, but at this point, I felt like it had attached itself to me. I was feeling it wherever I went. Chills were running throughout my body, and butterflies were fluttering my stomach, and one of my friends had an aunt who owned a health store, and she told me to go talk to her, so I did. She sold me some incense and oils to burn. She told me every time I go to bed to say out loud, "Get out of my body in the name of Jesus Christ, quit harassing me in the name of Jesus Christ," and to say it over and over, and so I did. One morning, I felt that electrifying sensation in my head again, and I felt it leave. I moved a few miles away. I stayed in that area for about 2 years, and it never bothered me again, and recently I moved again. I rented a place out in the country about 5 miles from Pulaski. For the first week, I had no problem, and then one night, I felt it come back, and it's been bothering me ever since. It harasses me sexually, and okay, I'm not reading that. Let's just leave it at it harasses him sexually. When I feel it bothering me, I get up and I address it, and I tell it to leave me alone. I don't burn oils and incense anymore. That seems to make it angry, and it bothers me even more. I'm tired of running from it, and it doesn't seem to do any good anyway, so I guess it's just something I'm going to have to deal with. Oh, God, you can't believe what I didn't read. But I can tell it's draining me of vital energy, and I'm starting to feel symptoms like numbness in my hands and feet, seizure-like symptoms when I'm about to fall asleep, headaches, blurred vision, chronic tiredness. Well, I doubt there's anything I can do to get rid of it. I just wanted to share my experience. Maybe someone has had a similar experience, and we can at least talk to each other about it. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one, ladies and gentlemen. I know it happens. I know people have many claims of sexual experiences with spirits, and I think for the most part they're not very pleasant when they happen. So every once in a while you run into somebody that seems to really enjoy it, and I'm not sure where this guy was at with it, because if it comes to getting rid of something, if it's really important to you, you're going to get rid of it because you gotta. But he sounds like he just kind of threw in the towel and is accepting that he has a new roommate or something. I don't know. Very, very weird. But again, I don't know the whole story, just that little window he provided throughout that narrative, but very different. Sorry about that. I needed a drink. So, here we go. Hold on a sec. All right, I'm back. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Look at all that. Look at all those wrenches. That's nice. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the the mods being here to keep the peace. Not that you guys are the easiest chat room in the world. Generally, there's like 99% of the time, it's wonderful. 1% of the time, someone comes in and kind of raise some havoc. But I pity the fool that comes in this chat room messing around. They're about to get a bucket to carry their tail in. That's all I'm going to say. So we're going to Indiana next. See what's going on there, ladies and gentlemen. When I was younger, I was around 7 or 8 years old, and my mom's husband bought a house on the outskirts of Muncie. I've been there many times. Used to work for a company that was headquartered out there. Muncie, Indiana, near the old Ball family mansion. It was built around the 1900s on an Indian burial ground, and it was huge and even had tennis court and a pool house, but it was pretty cheap because it had been vacant for 2 years and was pretty run down. Our house was previously owned by an old woman and her husband. Before them, it was owned by the woman's family, who had been pretty wealthy. The actress that the movie Mommy Dearest was based on even stayed in our house once. The woman had died in the house in the master bedroom, and her husband had died in a plane crash. The old servant quarters were now apartments, and a man named Jack had lived in one when the old couple were still alive, and he informed us that the couple were now buried in the woods behind the house because they just loved it there so much. He also told us that a little boy had drowned in the pool during the 1920s. Even though I was little, I was very interested in the history of the house. That is, until all the weird things started happening. When we first moved in, my mom and I had been sitting in the sunroom when we kept smelling really strong old woman's perfume. We looked everywhere, but we couldn't seem to tell where it was coming from. Nothing else really happened until a few weeks later. My room was on the one end of the house where you had to go through a hallway and another room to get to it, and my room was also the only room in the house that had carpet. The stairs curved and led into the hallway, and there were the French doors you had to open in order to get into the other part of the hallway and the other room which led to mine. My bed was faced towards the door so I could see into the other room. At night, I would always hear heavy footsteps walking up and down the stairs. They would go into the hallway through the doors and enter the other room. One night was really horrible because I heard them coming through the other room, and then when it entered my room, it stopped. I could hear faint breathing noises. Sometimes I'd go get my mom, but she would tell me I was just imagining things, so even though later on she admitted she heard things all the time as well. Most of the time, I'd just hide under my covers and cry. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, that's tough. When I was on summer vacation one year, my mom would sometimes leave me home alone so she could go to the grocery store or the gas station. Something along those lines, and I would always see weird black things out of the corner of my eye when I was sitting watching television in the living room, but when I would turn to look, it would be gone. One time when I was completely alone in the house, I heard something moving upstairs. When I muted the TV, I heard loud, heavy thumping and then heaving footsteps moving quickly back and forth through the hallway and the master bedroom. I was never really terrified to the point where I thought they were going to harm me. I'm pretty sure they were just curious to see who had moved into their beloved house. Towards the end, before my mom and stepdad got a divorce, I had a few friends over at the house, and we were down in the basement, which had an old coal burner, another room with a giant safe that was broken, a steam room, and a laundry room. My parents and I were pretty curious about the coal burner, so we opened it up and found a ton of old newspaper clippings and animal bones, which was really pretty odd. Another weird thing that happened was that we always used to smell tobacco smoke, like someone was smoking a huge pipe. When we told Jack about it, he said the husband who had died in the plane crash always walked around with a giant pipe in his mouth. Even though I moved out of that house, I will never forget my experiences there, and I'm just thankful that our ghosts were nice ones and not there to harm us. I was wondering if anyone else has ever smelled anything out of place in their houses, and if that is common. Well, here's the thing with smells, and this is the hard part with using smell as a determination of paranormal activity in and of itself. The hard part is that smells can be stored in the environment around us. I mean, smells will soak into wood, really will soak into wood. And as the seasons change and you get to the heat and humidity and it expands the wood or contracts the wood or whatever it ends up doing to wood, there's certain times of year due to certain temperature and atmospheric changes that will release some of those pent up smells that were absorbed into that wood over time. So it really becomes like one of those Christmas trees hanging in your car. I mean, it's the same concept, is that the smells will leach out of these porous materials for decades and decades and decades and decades. I mean, it can go for, a century or more. That wood will release smells that were prevalent during an earlier time. So smells in and of themselves are tough, but if you have natural wood and stuff, then you're going to notice it a lot more. If the woods in your home are painted, then probably a lot less likely, because they'll be sealed and shouldn't be releasing smells to that effect for the most part. So smells can be tough. Now, I smell in this home where the studio is, I smell an old perfume very commonly throughout the nights around here. I can't say it's every night, but maybe every week I come across that old flowery perfume smell that I know is not ours. It's not something that originates with us. So it's some other smell, and I just get the vibe that there's this older woman who was somehow attached to this house and loved it and loves it and still sticks around. And to me, that's fine. I don't. I think that's cool. But I do catch her, what I believe is her perfume. Can I be sure about that? No, but it's just a hunch, based on the fact that it's such a unique smell. And the other part of it is that it's never in the same place repeatedly. Like, I'll just be walking through the living room and hit a patch of it. It's like, oh, and if any of you have grandmothers, and I know that you do, some of the perfumes they wear are really pungent. They are like really pungent. And so I'll just walk into this pungent cloud of flowers, and it's like, oh, it's not a very sophisticated scent, but it's lovely for her. And that's just my experience. So yeah, those scents are real common, but I wouldn't utilize them in and of themselves. Like, if there's one place that always smells like pipe smoke, could it be because somebody always sat there smoking pipe? Sure, and that was a residual thing of some kind, sure, or an intelligent thing even. But if it's always in the same place, it could be just being released from something in that area, some wood or other porous material that might be releasing it due to atmospheric conditions. So it's certainly a consideration, and that, along with other factors, can help you narrow down whether or not you're dealing with a haunting. So, but it's cool. It's always cool. The paranormal's cool, man. And unless things are getting thrown at you, then it sucks. Let's open some more stories, because we're just on a roll here. 49 of you in here. Come on in, people. Enjoy yourselves. Spread the word. Let people know about the portal. Share on your social media. You share the live stream, can't you? I think you can, if you want. If you want to share the live stream, please feel free. It doesn't have to be a secret. All right, let's see. We're going to go to New Hampshire on this story. And this one's pretty short. This one's a very short story, actually. It's still unexplained, but I'm still unsure of what I've seen. But I'm here today to share this story with you and anyone else who has possibly had this encounter. I was around 9, maybe 10 years old at this time when this all happened. And ever since I can remember, I've always grown up with supernatural things happening to me or my family. My parents were in their bedroom, and I'd say it was around 10 p.m., maybe even 11. I woken up out of a dead sleep, and I just felt so threatened. It was so odd, and it bothers me to this very day. I looked over my doorway, and I could see 3 black figures with red eyes. One tall, one medium, and one small. Ugh. That's not good. I started panicking, and the tallest figure spoke. However, it sounded exactly like my mom and clearly saying, "It's all right. Don't be afraid. Come to mommy." Oh, no, that's horrible. And two other figures would try to coax me to come over to them as they held their arms out. My mom never believed me until I told her again when I was 12, and we had moved into a different apartment, and they seemed to follow me wherever I moved. Still always trying to coax me to come into their arms. They really are the only things that worry me, and typically I'm not as bothered by spirits as I am of these beings. However, now that I'm 15, they've stopped. Instead of seeing them, I'll feel like someone is on top of me, holding me down as someone else makes it so I can't talk. It's almost as if I was born mute and I am literally unable to utter a noise. I'd really love it if someone could explain both things to me. Yeah, I don't know. Dark, shadowy creatures. God, there could be a lot of things. I mean, it really could. That's horrible, though. Whatever it is, that sounds ugly. I would recommend sage, holy water, salt, prayers, whatever you can use. Kill it with fire. No, I'm just kidding. All right, we're going to go to Michigan. I have family in Michigan, and hopefully they're listening right now. In the past, I've been very skeptical about what is out there. I like to rationalize things. I have stories that have happened over the years which has forced me to believe. And people in my life attract otherworldly attention, and I just have to accept this. I only hope to help. I, however, hold up a shield after the attacks. When anything else happens to me, it tends to be calm and brush it off. Excuse me. Sorry. When I have questions about this, oh, did you hear that one? That was interesting. A little staticky thing again, just out of nowhere. So what is this one? I'm trying to understand what I'm reading here. What I have questions about is about an ex-roommate and my best friend. Both of them attract attention. While walking with two roommates one day on our way to our apartment, my one roommate kept commenting that a medium-sized dog, black and white and spotted and shaggy, was following us. Yeah, Chacha, you heard it? Okay. And Linda, you heard it? Yeah. That's a new thing. That hasn't been happening. I've never heard that happen before, so that's a brand new one. This weird staticky. It just comes and goes. So this dog, spotted, shaggy, was following them. It was unexpected to see that, and it was odd watching her eyes go around the hallway where it was. I admit it cheered me up, being very attached to dogs at home and missing them terribly. My other roommate, who didn't see it, just blew it off, saying it's just a dog. Other times she would see it walk around the apartment, many times going into my room as I slept. After experiencing roommates' problems, being depressed, feeling betrayed, I had to leave that apartment building, but I am still friends with the two aforementioned roomies, and I moved into an old house by myself. Very creepy, but comforting to me. I just have bat problems. Oh, yeah. I had my best friend come over one night, and I saw a dog fitting the description walking around town with us. I never told him about it before. It was exciting because he isn't even friends with my roomie, and he wouldn't know. Twice after that, he saw the dog in the alley by my house, and now he sees it at his house in Indiana. I've been friends with him for years, and a lot of things have happened around us. One thing I find confusing and I can't explain, when we drive or walk around at night, every time we walk by a light or street light, it will go off. Not every time. It just happens so often. It would be bright and then just go out. Other people comment on it too, and I've put it off for so long as it just happens so often. For some reason, I'd like to add that I believe him to be an emotional vampire. Oh, jeez. He stays up for days at a time, and every time we hang out, the energy is just drained from me. I'm talking about being awake after a few hours after being well rested, seeing him, and then feeling very tired. My friend just goes and goes and goes. I'm confused that the dog is around people I know, and I haven't seen it. Also wonder why it only appears to my friend, who prefers cats and shuns dogs. As for now, these are the only things I'm starting to question. So that's an interesting claim, and that one comes up a lot, ladies and gentlemen. And I'd like to know, I'm kind of curious, how many of you out there actually have experienced that or experience it more often than you think would be chance that when you walk under a streetlight, it goes out? How many of you have had that experience? I'm sincerely curious because it does seem to come up more often than I ever would have thought, and I've seen that happen before, but I've just always assumed it's just, well, I mean, there's light sensors on street lights and stuff where they turn on when the light gets to a certain amount of lumens or lower, then it'll turn on to illuminate. But some people claim that whenever they walk under a streetlight, or at least most often when they walk under streetlights, boom, they go off. And it sounds really incredible, but I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. Do you think that people can have an aura as such that it would affect streetlights and things like that by walking under them? I'm really curious. Okay, John Nelson says he gets that. Okay, that's really cool. I think it has happened to Nessie Monster. Okay, great. I appreciate your guys' feedback on that. Duke says it's happened to him. Linda, like twice. Okay. It happened to me, but not all that time. Yeah, and I've seen it happen, but I've always just assumed it was some feature of the light that maybe triggered that sensor to make it go off. But I don't know. Hetty doesn't go out at night, so she doesn't know. It happens when I drive under them sometimes. Yeah, I've experienced that, or I've heard experiences of that as well, Justin. Thank you. Okay. Well, I'm just curious because I'm wondering if that's somehow a glimpse, as we are energetic beings at our core. I mean, we are. All matter is energy, right? But we are a conscious energy, so it's different than just a rock or other things that may have a conscious energy to it. But it's so much more on a fundamental level. But we are this I believe we are these complex creatures of light. Take it or leave it, or however you want to phrase it. It's up to you. But could our state of being affect those things, much like happens when spirits are present? So we know through many, many, many stories and claims that spirits screw with lights, they screw with electronics, they screw with energetic things like that all the time. They seem to have absolutely no problem doing it. So it would imply to me that if spirits can do that, then we are fundamentally spirit with a shell. I mean, that's what being alive is. So do we potentially have that same, I don't know if I would call it electromagnetic, so to speak, but some kind of energetic principle about us that may alter or affect electronics around us? And what is that? What is it? What does it mean? Well, it maybe means nothing, but I'm just curious. I just wonder how you guys feel about that, because I think that for as many times as I've heard that claim, and I heard it every once in a great while, and I just thought, well, maybe they're just wishful thinking, or trying to make a mountain out of the molehill. But now through the years of doing the show and the research, the number of times I've seen that claim come up from people is really surprising to me. So I just wanted to throw it out there to you guys to see what you think of that. If any of you have any ideas. I see we got a call here, so let's get to this call and find out. So this is area code 530. You're on the air.
Hi, Brent. It's Sage.
Hey, Sage. How you doing?
I'm sorry.
Don't be apologizing. Don't be apologizing.
It's so weird. I don't know what's going on, but so I've been married to the same man for over 20 years.
Oh, wonderful.
And ever since we started our first date, the street lights go out when we walk.
Oh.
We thought we came to the conclusion that it meant that we were on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like we'll walk and then the street light will go out, and then it's not every street light. It's random, but it's random enough for us to notice. Like it's
Right.
enough, and we laugh it off and we go, "Look," but it's a consistent thing in our lives that has happened from the beginning and still happens to this day.
Isn't that curious? What do you attribute it to? Do you have any ideas of what you think it might be? What's going
I
on?
think it's so weird you're talking about this. I'm totally just like, what?
This
What
is the
the
portal.
hell? I've never heard of anyone else talk about this but my husband and I. Um, we don't like honestly. I don't know. Like I honestly, I don't. It only happens with me and him. Well, I think he had it. Previously, we might have had it before. I don't know. We've been together for so long.
Sure.
But when we're together, it happens, and it's like extremely noticeable. It'll be like the brightest light.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually when we're not thinking of anything or we're having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen. I mean, we don't have a bad relationship and we don't
No, sure.
fight. So,
Yeah.
there's no any of those,
Sure.
like,
Yeah. Now the one.
things going on. I'm trying to figure out or say something weird or witty, but I can't because that's not a witty or anything funny to make
Sure.
fun of. So,
Right.
so it's usually when we're having a great time or when we're going on a date night or we're not really thinking about anything, which I would say is usually connected to what I was talking about to another paranormal family member. I think just last night, which was us being in, more than one place at one time, and it usually happens when we're not we're not thinking, we're doing our normal daily things, and then we're in something weird happens and is unexplainable, and that kind of goes into the same paranormal. I don't know, but
Right.
I wanted to call and say yeah,
No,
that happens.
I appreciate that. That's cool. I think it's also, I should have probably phrased that as well to include lights that turn on when you're walking down and there's like some lights that are off. And as you get closer, boom, they
Yeah.
turn on. It's like a Michael Jackson and Billie Jean. It's like, doot, doot, doot.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I have phone problems too, where my phone will
Cracks me
just
up.
go from like 100% to 0.
Oh,
So
right.
I have those issues. We have lights that will just like go on and off in our house if there's different settings. I mean, but we have all of those going on in our home. So when we're outside, it's a lot different. So if you're paying attention to it, and then, you start paying attention to that, and then you start paying attention to the numbers of 1111,
Yeah. Yes.
1001, and then
333.
1212, and then the numbers start showing up more, and then the
Yes.
coincidences start showing up more, and then the sequence, and then we're here now,
Mm-hmm.
or at least I'm here now talking to you about over 20 years of things that I've been trying to figure out and going, what is going on?
I know. Well, me too.
So I think in the end, it's all about remembering, paying attention, and that we are getting signs.
Right.
If it's from us and we're doing it, or if we have help, if it's a controlled environment, whichever you want to believe, however you get to your reality or your belief system,
Right.
or however you need to awaken and not be that sheep. But I think that the signs are there. They're there. It's the awakening process, and the awakening process is more than just one awakening. We have so many different types of awakening.
Right. Yep.
And so I think that the lights are just a part of that awakening.
Right. Exactly. No, I think you're right.
So
I think that the funny thing is that this whole journey for the portal, for me has been me trying to understand all of this too. So that's why it's so powerful is that, I could research this till I'm blue on my own and maybe come up with some answers, but the ability to have this community and to talk and to share ideas, I think is just brilliant. It's just amazing, and how we've all found each other and just resonate, and it's really cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, at some nights, by the end of your talking and by the end of it, we've gone through round 3 of saying hi to everybody. And I'm like, wait, what? What do you say? And I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
because we're all so happy to see everybody,
Yeah, that's cool.
that, and
Mhm.
you did that, you and Dawn have done that. Congratulations. I mean, this is awesome. Like, you
Oh,
guys
well,
have,
thanks.
it, I just, it's a phenomenal thing, because what you're looking for is what we're all looking for. I
Right.
know I repeat myself all the time, and I just think it's so important, but um, the lights, it's that I've never met anyone that's had the same thing,
Mhm.
and it's happened to me and my husband consistently.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm, I've I've never been divorced,
Good
so
for you. You're doing it right.
and but I can tell you I can't remember it happening to us on a negative time.
Sure, right. No, and
Like,
I
I can
agree.
only remember it happening like when we're just out and about.
Hmm. No, I think that's probably a good point. That it seems to be when we're in a fluid state that those kind of things just start happening, and when we're because I think when we're angry and bound up, I don't think our energy is it is projecting out, but it's not a good energy, and probably doesn't have such profound effects, or it has different profound effects, I guess. As we're always
Well,
radiating.
well, yeah. Now it's gotten a lot worse too. I mean, everywhere you go, it's even harder to get out of that negativity grid.
Sure.
I mean, I really feel kind of like it's becoming a grid,
Mhm.
where it's meshing us to stay angry and be focused on,
And divided. Yeah.
if you're going to get angry at something that's worthy, not, a tweet.
Yeah. 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 It is, and
But
they're
that's just my own personal opinion, but
right.
um, because we have that for a reason, just like we have love and compassion, we have all those for a reason.
Right.
So, I for that one particular person, I would start writing it down and figuring out if it's a deja vu thing,
Hmm.
if it's their spirit guide or higher self, if they have an affinity to that type of like what their uh if they have that type of infinity, if they're connected to like more of like a storm or electricity or grounding, or if they need a type of crystal, or if it is a paranormal or haunting, if they feel scared, or
Hmm.
any of those kinds of things, they don't feel any type of negativity, then I would welcome it with positivity. But
Sure.
anytime, you always want to say, stand your ground in some way or another, and
Yep.
be like, if it's not positive, unconditional love, get out. You're not welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Perfect
So,
advice. Amen. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for weighing in on
yeah.
this.
So I'm sorry for
No,
calling again,
don't
but I just had
stop.
to be like, what
Stop apologizing.
are you reading my mind?
This is why I have a phone line. This is why. So quit apologizing. I love it when you
I
guys
know.
call
I
in.
just feel bad. But thank you. I mean, I hope I helped that person. I hope
Yeah.
I can. I hope I can help anyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely helps the narrative. So thank you so much for that. And you have a wonderful evening. And thank you again for calling.
You too. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Good night. That's cool. Yeah, I think the when they turn on, I think is just as profound. It's like, ooh, you when it's all shady and sketchy, and you get closer, and all of a sudden, boom, the light comes on. It's like, yeah, you feel like you're a rock star at that moment. But I saw somebody in the chat room mention Scotty Lopez, and ladies and gentlemen, I have to make an announcement, and that is tomorrow night on the Paranormal Portal, our Friday night show. I have a special guest joining me tomorrow night, and that is our own Scotty Lopez from the Kev Baker Show and Freaky Friday. He'll be joining me on the show tomorrow. He's going to discuss some of the phenomenal weirdness that's going on in his world, just some really incredible stuff, and we're going to go over that and have a great discussion about all kinds of things paranormal. Scotty's, of course, real dialed into the paranormal and has been. I listen to Kev Baker all the time, and he and Scotty and when Joe Joseph is on there for the Freaky Fridays, they just have these great discussions and dialogues. So, yep, Scotty will be joining us tomorrow night here on the Paranormal Portal. So, I hope you guys will tune in and be a part of that. I did actually forget to mention that on the lead into the show, which I meant to, but that's not unusual. But thank you to whoever brought up Scotty in the chat. I looked up and saw the name and went, "Ooh, I gotta remember that." So yeah, he'll be on tomorrow night. Yeah, whoever said it, thank you guys for reminding me, and that's what I believe you did. Let me look at the clock and see how much time has burned. I just love having those kind of discussions with you guys because that, again, I'm first and foremost, when it comes to the paranormal, I'm an enthusiast. I'm curious. I don't have the answers. Nobody does, of course, because there's a lot of unknowns out there. But I think as we have these discussions and dialogues and we share our information and share our experiences, that we do learn from each other and grow from each other. I mean, I think I got some things figured out, but I got way, way, way more questions than I have answers. So I just really appreciate you guys being a part of the shows and contributing as you do. Please continue to spread the word about the Paranormal Portal. I see that our time is about up for tonight, so I hope you enjoyed the journey. I know these shows go quick, but I'll be absolutely thrilled to be back tomorrow night and do it all over again with you. Tomorrow night is, of course, 2 hours, and Scotty will be joining us after the first half hour because he'll be coming off of his Freaky Friday run with Kevin Joe, and then he'll be joining us in the second half hour of the show through to the end. So I hope you guys will tune in and join us. It'll be a great discussion, that's for sure. But anyway, guys, I guess that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you guys for taking part in the conversation, and I appreciate you guys giving me your feedback about the lights thing, because it's been occurring to me for a long time, and I was like, well, I got a whole crew of people here. I could just ask them because it comes up over and over. And I'm just thrilled that so many of you have also experienced that same thing. So, all right, guys, good night, Amber. Good to see you. Thank you so much, Sharon Spears. Thank you, Brent, Cha-Cha, Moog. Good to see you guys, Bell Prepper, The Pharmacy Seeds, Anxiety Talks, and all of you, Dub45, or Dub45 rather, sorry. Dub, not Deb. Chris Jarvis, good night. A Sage, thanks again for the call. And Elaine, hello, my lady, and good to see you. And good night to you as well. Justin, good night. I'm just kind of going down the list as the names pop up because I didn't do a roll call at the front end of this, so I'm doing one at the back end. Let me just see. Real Deal, good night. Have a great night. Bell Prepper. Lewis, good to see you, brother. Hetty, great to see you. Dub, again. Okay. Ken, there you are. It's Ken. Hooroo. Is that Hooroo, Ken? Hooroo? All right. And good night, Bomber. All right. Good night, Duke. I know you're out there somewhere. And Julia, good to see you. Nessie, great to see you as well. Thank you for being here. And I guess with that, I'm going to close the show. So thank you guys for being here again tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Right here on YouTube, we'll be streaming it live. So join us and we'll get into it. Again. All right. Love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, all. Oh, hey, Cha-Cha. Good night. All right, guys. We'll see you now. Good night. Oh, hey, Cameron. Good to see you, brother. You too. And I'm just waiting to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay. Good night, good night, good night. Love, 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 love. All right. Sweet dreams, everybody.